Hello, great clips. My name is Stephanie Hinkle, and I am here partnered with you and Bosley MD to go through and show you and introduce to you what we have up and coming in our categories and collections. So I'm so excited to be with you this morning. If you are new to Bosley, I know you're not because I know you have all of these beautiful kits in the background. But if you are new to curls, most importantly, let me know in the chat. And I have some beautiful Charlie's Angels in the background for me that's going to be assisting me in answering any questions for you. But I am excited to be with you for this next 60 minutes to go through with you everything about curls. So we're excited to hear about curls. I'm excited to join you with curls. So what we're going to begin with is letting you know who I am. My name is Stephanie Hinkle. I am a hair and scalp specialist, but I focus specifically on working with textured and curly hair. So we have my beautiful model here today who is going to be assisting us in this beautiful haircut. But first and foremost, you know that Bosley has been around for at least 51 years. So we started this journey within Bosley since 1974 when this all began in focusing on how to bring solutions behind the chair as well as to the consumer that is dealing with hair thinning, hair loss, and creating some volume in the hair. When we came in to fruition with Bosley MD, it was more so for the consumer behind the chair. I mean, the consumer that is for those who are in our chair, the guest and our customer that comes in to our shop every single day to help support them with these particular challenges and offering them solutions. I know that right now you do have that's in your collection and in all of your beautiful shops out there. We have our beautiful #1 bestseller, our Revive Plus, which is going to be in our blue case. This is a non-color treated solution for our guests, specifically sometimes focused towards the male clientele, but this can still be used for our women. Again, even though it says non-color treated hair, it can still be color used for for people who have colored hair. We just have color boosters when we get into our line of working with our Revive system that has this beautiful orange box. Again, focusing a little bit more on women because they are commonly known to get color a little bit often to cover up some of those beautiful sprinklies of silver that's in. So you already know that we have our beautiful DHD blockers that are inside of here, our pumpkin seed, San Palmetto, our rosemary, as well as our biotin and sunflower seed extract, which is going to be a beautiful, beautiful booster within there. But then we also have something that's going to be for those I like to definitely cater this to the teenagers, even those for all ages who we all have some stress that comes into our life. So when we are considering how to choose which line to put in their hand, our defense is going to be a great opportunity for those guests who may be stressed out, maybe looking for something more preventative versus waiting until we get into seeing those noticeable thinning strands go into our hair. Our defense comes into play, and within our defense category, we do have that beautiful apple seed extract that's inside of there that helps with the aging complex. We also have biotin that helps strengthen each cell, and then we also have the panthenol that's going to help fatten up that hair strand, offering up elasticity for the hair and scalp, but also gaining some moisture for that retention as well. So when you're looking at these collections and these categories, this is going to assist you on knowing where to go. But one that we are going to be playing with out of this beautiful kit today is going to be our Mend Extend. And our Mend Extend that you have behind the chair is going to be help those guests prevent breakage, maintain length retention, and also help promote growth. So with every little cue of what we need to know in the back here, we have all of our beautiful, yummy botanical ingredients, working from our Red Sea algae all the way down to our pomegranate, even working with hyaluronic acid, not sunflower seed, I apologize, working with our San Palmetto. So all this combination here is going to help strengthen the strand noticeably in after one shampoo and cleanse when they're going through the whole entire system, as well as maintain the strength of the strand so we can prevent breakage as well as support with hair growth. But you already are utilizing these beautiful collections. So let me introduce you to the one collection that we are going to be working with today. It is our newest collection and our newest baby, which is going to be our BosleyCURL. Can I get a whoop whoop? So our BosleyCURL is one of our most ultra hydrating solutions. But the beautiful thing about this kit is it comes with a 3-part system. So within our system, we are working with the shampoo, which has a Takuma seed butter that's inside of it, which is one of the most hydrating and moisturizing technologies that are on the market right now. We also within here, we have our shea butter that's going to go into our mask. We also have our coconut oil that goes into our mask. We also have protein, rice protein that's in our shampoo. And with these two things coupled together, what this creates is a beautiful harmony of helping support the hair strand, offering enough moisture for the curl. Because one thing that curls really do have a challenge with is maintaining the moisture, maintaining the hydration, as well as getting the support and the elasticity they need to see that beautiful bounce back in the hair. So we did use this on David today, and this is my beautiful model. But before we went in to support with that, we did go in and do a nice cleansing with our Malibu Undo, at our our 9 pH. Let me talk this morning at our 9 pH, so we can get a nice cleanse to support getting all of the buildup off of his hair first, as well as the buildup off of the scalp, and then allow that our BosleyCURL ultra hydrating shampoo to go in first to really penetrate. So that way I can guarantee that all of the ingredients are going into that hair strand as well as supporting the outside of the hair strand. When working with the mask, I did allow him to sit on with a nice steam that works into this, and you can see the consistency. Did you love the smell of this? And this, if you know, because we was like, mm. So we had a good time with the smell of this, and you can see how rich and creamy this particular component works in. So we did work with this with a little bit, get and allow that to marinate. I like to say marinate with my guests because it's like I feel like I'm cooking up some things at the bowl when we're working together with it. Allow it to stay on the hair for about 3 minutes and then rinsed it with cool water. It left his hair feeling beautifully soft, nice and shiny, already very easy to manage. So now that we have him preset for that, now we can go in and get ready for the haircut. And when you're working behind the chair with them, I know we need to work smart and effective when we're doing so. So once we took our guests through that, we are going to now get prepared for going through our haircut. So with David, we had worked with 4 different curl patterns when we're working with our curls, and each one of them responds and reacts a little differently. So if you can see David here in his curl pattern taking place, he has something that we're going to like can be looked at as almost loose to wavy, and I can even see that he can have a little bit of spiral going on in here. So when you're working with this and you're speaking with your guests, can you also see how this density changes from here to here? So these are some things that we're going to be addressing when we're going into his curly cut. He does have beautiful long hair, but his goal for today was to get rid of some of this low density hair. He's okay with going to the shoulders. He's like, it's too much hair for me, Stephanie. So allow yourself to do what you need to do today. And we want to do this effectively and efficiently for you and your guests behind the chair. So when you're starting off this process, you do have 2 opportunities to work with. You can work with this in a dry relationship. So when you're working with tighter curls, someone like Cameron here, I would recommend that you would go ahead and start that process and add to your guest consultation that shampoo and that mask treatment. So that way we can get a good fresh start on the hair so you can work more effectively and efficiently through that hair strand. When you're working with someone like David or even someone with a looser wave, you have the opportunity to work in this particular instance either in a dry relationship where the hair is dry and you can brush it out and then do a nice beautiful cut, and then either have the opportunity to take them over to the bowl and give them a nice shampoo and cleanse, or you can bring your guests back to the station and do your haircut, or you can do it right after you do your haircut and get prepared to go into doing your setting your curls. How are we doing out there? Do we have any questions so far? So what I'm doing now, I'm going to go ahead and reset his hairs because I want you to make sure you've seen where his hair and that density change was taking place. So we noticed that was probably about a good comb's width of hair. And you see where it landed at one point. And I'm going to show you as we wet the hair, because the big thing about when you're working with curls, you have to be understand how reactive those curls are. So when we are going in and prepping for doing our haircut for them, what we want to keep in mind is when we're having that conversation with them, and our guests at our chair, what we're going to be looking at and how we want to approach this is we're going to be approaching this and thinking about how much shrinkage that's going to take place. Right now, I am going to be working with our Bosley Mend Extend from our treatment. So I'm doing our leave-in treatment for our Mend Extend line to help with the hyaluronic acid that's inside of here, giving me some nice slip and control as I'm working through. When you're working with this particular guest as well, when you're working in that wet relationship, we want to make sure we keep the hair very hydrated with the water. Now you can see now where we began in line. Look at how far these curls are now going now that we wet and they're no longer dry. So this is something to definitely keep in mind when we're having this consultation and we're talking to our guests. So this is going to go, and we should have the capability when we're working with this particular fabric of hair to get through this hair within 12 to 18 minutes. So I'm going to go in. David's when our consultation, David said he is comfortable with going to shoulder length. David, when you say shoulder length, do you want that shoulder length to be when it's curly or when it's dry? Or when it's like more elongated, like where it is right now? So is it when Laney when it's fully curly, or do you want a little bit longer? When it's like fully curly. When it's fully curly. So he let me know that when it's fully curly, I want the curls to land on my shoulder. So I have to be mindful not to cut directly to the shoulders when I'm doing that, because based on how that stretch and that shrinkage can be, I'm gonna have your head go this way. That can be, it can shift. Curl pattern has the capability to shrink up at about 40%. So we can go anywhere between 20 and 40% for his curl pattern. When we get into tighter curls, they have the capability to shrink up anywhere between 50 and 90% when we're going in. So that's a big jump. So I'm going to go right below. We did have in our consultation, we did discuss again, like I told you, that he's okay with losing all of that density. You saw how much density that was. So I'm going to take it right here where that chair length is. I'm going to take it straight across to set my guide. Keeping everything nice and controlled. If I need to hold it in my hands, I can do that as well. I'm keeping minimum tension. Boop. Beautiful. And then I'm going to go to my other side. So I'm really following this guideline going all the way down, working effectively and efficiently, taking it from the base all the way down to the ends, tapping it out here, and then taking it across. I have my guests set in 5 standard segments. So right here is going to be that beautiful baseline of where we set, and then already look at how that's going to start springing back. And look at those curls like, hey friend, where have you been? So now we are in our nape area. So here's going to be occipital bone area that we're working with. This is going to be that foundational cut that we're starting off here in the nape area. In the occipital bone, this is going to lead down. So this here, we're going to go into our occipital bone, and then we're going to start connecting the sides to continue on with that foundational cut. I'm going to now take out my second segment, laying that in. And I may have you stand up for me first. I like to do a little crowd participation when you're doing this. So when you're talking to your customer or you're communicating with the guest, there's some things you can do is have them stand up. Just so again, we're making sure we have a strong guideline. I don't want you to pop down and hurt yourself. So hold on for a second. Yep, come on down. Nice little control. Beautiful. So when I go in, having him do that nice little stand up here, I'm gonna have you come around over here for me. Stand right there. Great. Beautiful. Oh, rather simple, rather. Bring it over, bring it over, bring it over. Do a little squat down for me. Yeah. Okay, and bring it back up one more time. Beautiful. So what I'm doing right here is just checking to make sure I created some balance in the haircut. I'm gonna turn it this way. Creating the shape, because we did have that the chair because it was going to give us a little bit of elevation there. So just making sure I'm cleaning up any of those little stragglers that may be. And when you're cutting this long, beautiful. Come on, take a seat. So when we are cutting someone's hair with this amount of length, you do have that opportunity to have them stand and then come back down and sit, just to make sure we have that consistency in the shape. When I'm going in, I'm using horizontal sections at this point. He's looking more for a one length. Some of the goals that he's going for is going to be working with and wanting to make sure he puts his hair in a ponytail, pulls it up. He does wear his hair into a lot of half ups and half down in his styling regimen. But some things he did share with me was some challenges that he had. Was he's dealing with some dryness in his scalp. He's been dealing with that for a very long time. And if you can notice here, I'm going to raise you up just for a second, that we did nail where we needed to take. Do you see too, when you're going in, you're working with some curls sometimes, you may be experiencing, you see how that just isolated and nothing, like where we lost all of that density. So we cut right where we needed to for him. But some things he was discussing with me was he's having challenges with dryness. He was having challenges with dryness not only on his scalp, but within his hair. So some solutions that we can offer guests when we're talking to them is we can offer them not only our BosleyCURL, because it's going to be very nourishing to our mid links to ends here, as well as it's going to be supporting the scalp. But we can also, if we're seeing any kind of noticeable thinning, so sometimes that thinning is going to be there, or we're noticing some density changes that takes place behind the chair. So talking to them about those density changes, we can start product pairing them with such things like our Revive Plus. So letting them know in that first shampoo when they're going to be using it, then we can go ahead and use the Revive Plus to help really maintain a little bit more of those DHD blockers that the Revive Plus offers. And then we can go in on that second cleanse and work with our curl, our BosleyCURL, because it has more moisturizing and hydrating ingredients that really supports the mid links to ends in that strand. Pairing that with the conditioner, knowing that it's going to support the conditioner and the mask, we can do a little combination with that to get all of those beautiful elements to pair in, giving it them hydration it needs from the BosleyCURL and the Takuma seed that is inside of there, as well as the rice protein. But also with the mask, we have the coconut oil, and then we also are going to be supporting that with the shea butter and the Gursi, the Gurmi, I apologize, that's going to be in there. That's going to help with the elasticity as well as maintaining the shine and the condition of the hair. So going in, giving a nice cross check, dropping this down. And at this point, you can see, as long as we can see that guideline, we're working really conducively. Some things that could change here if I'm working with a tighter curl pattern. We would change how we would do our sectioning the same, but we would not be putting a lot of tension on that hair. So the reason why we wouldn't put a lot of tension on that hair is because, again, how that hair strand is going to be reverting back. It's going to be reverting back and it's going to shrink up in a dry relationship very differently than it is going to be how his hair is going to shrink up with his loose to spiral curls. Keeping everything parallel, taking this straight across. And then I'm going to show you how the curls are going to respond when I get done with this second section. Making sure the hair, again, stays hydrated. I pre-prepped him with our Mend Extend, and the hydration is key to make sure we're keeping consistency not only within the cut, but how I'm seeing and acknowledging how the curls are reacting in our spring back. When we're going through our consultation, some other things that he did discuss with some challenges. He's like, I tried everything, nothing is working in regards to my scalp. I have a tendency to want to definitely scratch this center area a little more in his crown area because he gets a lot of buildup in dandruff. So some things like that, again, Bosley MD definitely can go in and support those things because we have anti-inflammatory ingredients within the product. So the rosemary is going to help be a soothing agent. We also have that botanical blend of the sawn palmetto that can also aid in our soothing agents for the scalp. We have the biotin that's going to help strength. And I'm giving a little, look at how those curls now are springing back. So I'm taking my hand, giving it a little support here, seeing where everything is living. I'm keeping this top layer isolated for right now. That's typically where you can do your layering. If he was looking for some very exasperated layers, we can go in and pair. And now I'm going to go into this side panel here. So when I went in, I started at the nape area to create that foundational base. Again, we're going in with the particular with this curl pattern, and he's looking for more foundational cuts. Then I'm going to be going down within the occipital bone all the way to this high crown area to lower down. This is going to be the bit longest length here. When I get to the side area, I'm going to be now deciding, am I going to keep a straight heavy line here, or do I want some softness in the around of his face? We can see again where the density has changed in this particular curl pattern and where we're seeing a little bit of the see-through. So just like we see density on the scalp, we're going to be seeing density on the hair. So when you're going through and you're checking out your guests, and you're talking to them, some things that you can look out for personally is I look at something called depth. That's my little acronym that I like to use. My guests never know I'm using it, and it doesn't like take. I don't have to do anything different because you were already touching their hair. So the density is going to be the D represents the density for my guest. So how much density do they have fully on their hair? In that density, I'm going to be looking if I could put my guest hair in a ponytail and it just closes completely up, then they have low density of hair. If it takes me at least, because you can see our guest here has low density hair. If it takes me about a ponytail or two ponytails around, or it goes to my second knuckle, they have a medium density of hair. If my guest comes in and they have, like it takes me, I need like a ponytail, three ponytails, I need to separate it in some way when I'm working within that particular hair strand, then I know they have a high density of hair. But then I also have to look at some other areas on their hair as well. And again, you're doing this and you can do this while you're going through and checking. So it doesn't really add on additional time for you to go in and just harmonize and look and see. Then I look in certain areas like the crown area around the hairline if they're pulling their hair back, specifically when you're working with women, or even men, because he's pulling his hair back a lot with his ponytails. He works out in his lifestyle, and then I go in and I look in the nape area to see how that changes. So now that we just, for a quick pause there, you can see I'm taking a horizontal diagonal back section here. I'm working around just continuing on with now bringing that foundational cut to the front. Again, if we're looking for more weight yielding here, we can keep it going straight across. Or if we're looking for a little bit more softness around the face, we can go at a soft angle here. I'm going to go and create a little softness around the face. It allows me to maintain the length in the back, but also supporting the length in the front. I'm working with the fine tooth and my comb. Now I am utilizing my fingers. I'm actually going to bring his head this way so we don't have to go against the shoulders here. Bringing it across. And this is going to be my guideline. I took one behind that mastoid process because a lot of times what you're going to be seeing here is you're going to be seeing this hair as it comes around. We lose the strength here behind this mastoid process, or we have the opportunity to create some shallowness at that low point behind the ear because it has so much low density. So it doesn't have a lot of weight to support it there. I'm going to bring it to that second knuckle or this guideline here behind. Elbows are going to be up, creating some softness here and a soft chip away. Boom shakalaka. So going back in, I'm going to keep doing this. And this is a small section here that we have because the density is lower right here in this temporal area that I'm working in. So I can over direct all of this forward now, working with my guide, keeping it again pretty low, keeping it in mind. We're not looking for some drastic face framing like we would maybe with some of our our curlier guests are some of our women who may want a little bit more detail around the face, but you can already see that shape and the change of how these curls are popping. So right here, this low point of where you're going to be protecting is going to be that master process because it's going to want to spring up a little differently, losing any kind of density back there is going to create a hole in the hair. And that's not good, especially when you're again working with skinnier fabrics like your fine hair. But getting back into the density of the hair and getting back into the depth, we're going to rinse and repeat on this side. Going mid-length, saying, look at that beautiful little curly shoe. So he does have some spiral in his hair. Your guest can have more than one curl pattern. So when you're also sectioning off like this gives you the opportunity to, as well, to start to see and notice that they may have more than one curl pattern in their hair and what that's going to look like. So I'm taking it around this hairline area. So I'm in here in this recession point in the temporal area, going back into my segment one, which was going to be that nape area. I'm taking this and I'm over directing everything forward, taking a little piece of that guide from my segment one and my segment two, which was the nape and into the occipital bone area, over directing everything forward. Making sure, and I am working with the fine tooth of the comb when I'm doing this. Because of his curl pattern, I can, again, add a little bit more tension to the hair, but still being mindful of where the hair is landing now and where we want it to land when it ends. I'm giving a little bit of over direction, making sure that I'm parallel to that section, bringing it right down to my guide, cutting it down, and bringing it around. Sweeping everything forward to check in, to check for balance. We just have a little guy right here who wants to have a little fun. Where'd you come from first? Oh, you came from the top. You were trying to sneak in on us. He said, I want to be a part of the party now. Head straight from. Boop. Thank you. Checking in on the balance and keeping that going. So we have one more section that we're going to be including into this. So once you have the density and you checked in those areas, you talk to your guests, and just even while you are in the chair with them, and you continue to keep this language going on, then it allows you to know too what kind of product should you recommend for them, what's going to help be that solution for them when you're going through this process. Now we're going to be dealing with the elasticity. The elasticity is going to be the E, which is ability for the hair to spring back. And elasticity specifically with curls plays a big role because it helps with getting that bounce back in the curls that we're working with. When we have too much moisture in the hair and not enough protein, the hair can feel very gooey, and it can also not want to give us the curl pattern that we're going for, or that our guest is like, I'm not seeing the spring back that I'm used to, or my curls tend to have a tendency to fall. So when we are supporting them, everything begins at the bowl. So again, this is where BosleyCURL comes into play because we're working within our shampoo and conditioner, we have the protein rice that's going to be inside of there. We also are going to be supporting that with the Takuma seed butter that's going to give that added moisture. So the moisture and the protein inside of that particular shampoo is going to help support giving us the strength and elasticity we need for the hair, but also help in aiding and assisting in giving it the hydration and the moisturizing agent for the scalp. Because when the tight of a curl goes, and now I'm here at the top here. Can we see that? So now we're at the top. Brief pause. So I went in this horseshoe section. And in the horseshoe section here, we're going to be having in that recession point that goes all the way around from the frontal of the recession point to the low crown. So when I'm going here, I'm looking for where that's going to pivot off. This is going to help support making sure everything lands where I need it to land, bringing it around, And then that temporal area, when we initially had that our added in that additional front to our frontal, our foundational cut, we're going to be right here in the front area when we're working within there. I dropped down, and where I became and where I decided to make his section is this is where his natural part wants to lie. So everybody typically has a natural part they want to go to. If your guest has a particular style part, go ahead and section that and separate that top area for them off. That way you know you're creating the balance that they need. If they like to switch back and forth, even in their curls, you can create a center part for them in doing so. So I'm going to go ahead, bring these two together. Like a little softness around your face. Sure. Okay. And I'm choosing also to create a little bit of softness around his face for a couple of reasons. I still want to maintain the weight for him, but I also seen there was a couple disconnections happening within his curls, but also seeing some density changes still take place here as well. So it gives me the opportunity to get as much of that off as possible, and also merging in some pre-existing curls around. Again, I'm not trying to make this huge face frame for him. I just am looking for a very soft shape. So this is a great opportunity again for the fellas. Ask what they're looking for. Round shapes are really great on curly hair because it does keep a nice diffusion and softness in the hair. I'm going to keep it right where I'd have it. Nice diagonal back, working at the front. I'm going to have you turn that way for me. Beautiful. Adding some water. So when we're going in again, talking about the elasticity, this is going to be when we're starting, whether we're starting with going in with that shampoo experience, or we're going to end with it, or it's something we're going to recommend for our guests when they leave the when they leave our chair. Why is BosleyCURL going to be a great opportunity for them to experience? It's going to be a great opportunity for them to experience because if they're having challenges with that spring back, they're going to start seeing some beautiful results take place for them, helping them with the detangling process, helping soothe down that cuticle, helping gain strength. Now, when they get that elasticity, we already know shrinkage can be very real. So letting them know, because we're strengthening the hair strand from the inside out, we are going to see a beautiful shine take place that's going to help seal down that cuticle a little bit more to help maintain and control the frizz. But now we're going to see a little bit more shrinkage. So this may change how you soften your curls or soften your cast when they get done styling. I'm just continuously taking that top panel up at the top here. For him, I'm really using about 1 inch sections because of the fabric of his hair. He has fine hair, loose to wavy that I'm working with, bringing it down and just connecting the dots. I can see my guide. Can you see my guide here? Everything is parallel, body position. Take this over, bring that over there. Protecting that mastoid process. Giving it that little diagonal back. Fingers are parallel to my guide. Supporting, pop that elbow out, second knuckle. Bringing it all together. Second knuckle. Rinse and repeat on the opposite side. Your curls are popping, my friend. So things that, again, we can just continuously talk about behind the chair. When you're seeing this, again, I'm giving you a little bit step by step, but you can see like, okay, I can drop that down, do this, and I can do that. It's the where and the why, and why we're taking these particular sections. We need to see where the curls are going to start changing. Adding this water, we need to see if there's going to be a different set of movement. If the density starts to change, do we need to pivot at any given points? Sometimes that is the case. So how do we work through that when we're working with this particular curl pattern? So again, his density, because he hasn't had a haircut, like he stated, in 5 years, and you will get guests like this who have like, I've not had a haircut in 5 years. I have been afraid for anyone to cut my hair because no one understands my curl pattern. So walking into a space of understanding and sensitivity and being very clear that you already know yourself. You know the anatomy of hair. I'm gonna bring your head up nice and straight. Boom, right there. Being clear on what curl pattern you're working with. Again, currently I'm working with a loose to wavy, even spiral curl pattern. I'm working with a loose to wavy curl pattern. And you can see I can take all of that completely down just so you can see me dropping all of this down. Being nice and controlled when working with this. Bringing this over. Giving it a nice diagonal back. Comb goes in hand. Giving it a nice get section. Snip, snip. And again, the density. Why did I take more sections on the other side? Because if you have someone with more hair, you want to again make sure the curls are going to respond very differently. And I'll show you that here in just a moment, how that can sit a little differently when you're working with different curl patterns. Bringing this down and around. Bringing this over. Head straight. Boop. Coming up back. Connecting the dots. Follow, blah, blah, blah. Getting that going. So when we have everything all set, a little bit more over direction here in the front. If we over directed a little bit more forward and your guess is like, I want a little more. Don't do that. Hello? Can you still see me? Am I still there? If my guests came in and are looking for a little bit more layering. So you can develop some interior layering by taking those horizontal diagonal forward sections and over directing all the way forward. That will still meet and be able to achieve head shake. That will still give us the opportunity to have and maintain again, because I know time is of the essence. Even being behind the chair working with our guests, we want to be mindful with their time and our time, over directing a little bit more forward. From bringing this hair back to the front will create some beautiful invisible layers, connecting our temporal area, connecting our parietal and our frontal area, our crown area, and then that over direction from our crown, our occipital area, over directing that hair all the way forward as well will help create some beautiful invisible layers inside of there that will give them even more movement and control within that hair strand. So these are some pro tips that can help you if they're not looking for, again, some of our guys are looking for a little bit more movement. Some of our ladies definitely want a little bit more movement. The only thing that you would just pivot in this particular haircut to create some invisible layers, no matter what fabric of hair you're working on. If you're working on fine, medium, or coarse hair, this would be a great opportunity for you to do so. It's going to create some nice expansion in the shape when you're working with a little bit more of a tight or coilier fabric. It's going to create some beautiful movements and airiness within the shape when you're working with loose to wavy and even spiral curls in there. So again, that over direction would be the only thing that you would change within that particular shape, in that sectioning. I'm going to lean him forward. I'm going to have everything come down. Tilt. We're going to bring everything down. And what we're looking for here is this, we're checking for balance. So I'm checking for the balance going on in here. And if you're like, what is this little extra point here? This is a good sign. So this is where, when we were over directing, this is letting me know that this is when he pulls his hair back around his hair, his ear, everything's going to meet at one point. So it's letting me know we have a nice, clean, solid line here. Everything's over directed forward, shorter in the back, longer in the front. Because when we pull everything back away from him, everything's going to go shorter in the back, longer in the front. So here's a great opportunity. At this point, you can work with one of your favorite detangling brushes. I'm just going to brush everything forward for me. Check in on the shape. Do any kind of soft refining. And what I'm looking for here is Again, because I'm over directing the hair forward, we're seeing short to long. So we're seeing this beautiful round shape take place that lets me know that we nailed our shape. Working with a nice detailing brush, I work with the tools that are going to give me control. Nice shape going short to long. If I needed to soften anything out here, this is an opportunity to do so. And this is an opportunity again, just to check in on your balance. So we were talking earlier about the elasticity, which was, we were talking about our DEath acronym. And now we got into our porosity. Porosity is a big thing too when you're working with curls. So we have low porosity hair, and we're going to get into a little bit more of that when we get into the styling portion of this. Look at those waves pop. Hello. Give me a hair flip. Bringing it back. So we're seeing here, can you see some challenge like with the density we were talking about earlier? So this is when we're talking about the density as well as dealing with some growth patterns here. This is the area that he has the most challenge with. A little things that happen here is we're dealing with some, you said psoriasis you have here? We have some psoriasis that takes place here. He typically let me know that he does typically scratch a lot in this area, which can start to irritate and inflame the scalp, as well as how the psoriasis is taking place. It can cause injury to the follicle. So finding some solutions that can cause some soothing agents here would be great, as well as over time, coupled with the ponytail, we have to be mindful of how the density is going to change here. We already have a strong growth pattern taking place here, so we can't bring that together, but I'm gonna lean you down just a little bit more. You can see how no matter what, that little density has changed. So again, solutions that we can offer, we can still pair with him the Bosley MD, Revive, and then couple on top to support the curl health, and even more adding some moisture to help with the psoriasis here. We can also do our Bosley curl in conjunction with this. So we're leaning this back. Can you see already the movement that takes place in his curls even as of right now? And that's not even product in there. So this is some things I discuss with my guests behind the chair when they're going through. We start moving their hair around. You want to run your fingers through your hair. What's good? Do your whole hair thing. So good thing, like when you're letting your guests run their fingers, or your customer run your fingers through their hair, let them kind of play with it how they would. Why do I always say that? Because they can start feeling like, okay, when I move it this way, when I move it that way, it goes where I need it to go. And then we get ready for going into our styling. So we went through the haircut, working with 5 standard segments and going through this. We're going to go back into those 5 standard segments just to help with our styling. So this could, I know this could, your diffusing can take about, don't have to leave them 100% dry if they're on the go, or due to how we chose to customize the experience for our guests. So how you can go in now and promote and go in with your stylers is going back in and even showing your guests. And I'm going to go back into and put this in 5 standard segments. And I can also see and do a cross check after I do that as well. When you're talking to your customer and your guest, what you can also do at this time is let them know sectioning works in a good way. How do they do? Are they currently experiencing their curls? Because some of them, this will be their first curly cut with you. So they're like, I don't know what to do. What's a good way to go about this? Sectioning is good. One thing David said, he's like, I have never sectioned my hair ever. And a lot of times, our guests do not section their hair, and that's okay. But we need to let them know how that's going to make a difference in their styling regimen. Do they have to necessarily do this 5 standard segments? No. 4 could be conducive, but even isolating this top panel will help them get the end result that they're working for. So to work effectively and efficiently for them, we're going to go back in, and right now I'm going to make sure we're working in 3 steps. So we're going to work with a primer. And our primer is going to help equalize the porosity. So like a leave-in conditioner that you could work with. Again, I'm going to go back in and to stay rehydrated with my Bosley Mend Extend leave-in treatment. And I'm going to layer that in first. Again, equalizing the porosity in the hair, bringing back that slip for me. And then I'm going to go in with my product selection of choice. So for you, when you're working with your guests, thinking about what products that you want to work with them for, if they're looking for just something like a wash and go, I don't work with a lot of products. I like to keep it very soft and simple. You can stay with the Bosley Mint Extend. It's not going to offer a lot of hold for them. It's going to be a very soft hold, 0 to none, but you will get some longevity out of it. They're going to have to refresh a little sooner because you can see how that curl springs back just by me going in and doing a soft crunch. If they're looking for a little bit more extension in their curls, then we can go in and layer in another product over top of it. So what I would recommend at that point is maybe you work with your Paul Mitchell lavender mint gel, working from the base all the way to the ends, allowing for some extra hold. I know sometimes our guests are afraid of gel. Allow them not to be afraid of the gel. They can scrunch out the gel. And the first thing you put on the hair is going to add a little bit of softness too, because we worked with the Bosley Mint Extend for that first layer that equalized the porosity, added and maintained the hydration and the moisture. And now I'm going in, layering in my gel, adding water because water is a huge component, especially when you're working with curls and you're working with a product. Typically, that product's number one ingredient, specifically in a curl line, is going to be water. So you need the water to help support. So now that we have this going, you can go in either with your fingers, do a nice little rake in, bring it across, give some support, hold it at the ends, give it a little shimmy and a shake to enhance those curls, soft release, let it go. Bring it in, do a nice little shimmy and a shake, hold the ends, and let it go. This allows them to see that beautiful curly cut that you gave them, working from base to ends, going in on this second panel. And when I'm looking at product selection, I'm thinking to myself, their hair needs to be right out of, like, it looked like it was right out of the shower wet when you're going in and adding this in. If they need to leave right afterwards and you don't have the time, just allow them to know as you're talking to them and educating them on what gel and why gel will be a nice option for them if they're looking for longevity in their hold, why that can be a great option for them, or if they're looking for a cream. So Paul Mitchell also has a lavender mint um, cream for them that they can work with. You can work with the cream to give some softness for their hair, create a soft cast on that hair for them. But let them know too that they're going to have to still refresh of creams offer moisture and curl definition. The gel gives you the longevity that you work with. So I'm going in, pressing that in, looking for a nice little shine that takes place, working here from the base, combing it through, brushing it through, giving it a nice little wiggle wiggle shake. Depending on the elevation, going through, combing it through, and giving it a little wiggle shake. Now, when you're working with a little bit more of a tighter curl pattern, I would encourage, it's going to probably fall into the lines of going into more of a styler, because you're going to have to set the curls a little differently there. So you will take smaller sections and you may just be working with your hands in that particular section, giving it still the same intensity, not a lot of shaking when you're working with a tight to coily, but helping that curl encouragement go a long way. So we're seeing those curls start to pop, working from the mid lengths to ends. Again, I'm using for my primer, I'm working with the Mend Extend here. And then I'm working with a medium hold gel that's going to help support and encourage his curls. So with the lavender mint from Paul Mitchell, that's going to be a great extension. Again, if they're looking for just a beautiful softness to their curls, allow yourself to explore with the mint extend. The mint extend makes a great opportunity for them to again create and maintain the hydration. It is going to give a softer hold. It is going to help define the curls, but just allow them to ask them how long they want to keep that curl pattern in, or what is their expectancy before they go into their next wash day, so we can maintain the curls along the way and really seal in and lock in all of the benefits of that. Nice to tangle. Adding some water. Water is the number one ingredient. Everything else we put on top of it with the emollients and the humectants. So if you ever see a little foam frizz up on come up on the hair, that is the emollients from the product that we're working with, that's sealing down everything that we put in. So the humectants are water loving, and we have those again within our Bosley collection and our BosleyCURL. Hence, we have the Takuma seed, because it's pushing in, working as both a moisturizer and a humectant. But also when we're working with our Mendixtin has a hyaluronic acid which breaks down this smaller molecule so micro small that when it goes into that hair shaft, that it really helps seal in and lock in the hydration. So when we put anything moisturizing and anything added that's a sealant onto the hair, it really adds into the style that we're giving our guests and maintaining all the nourishment that we put on from our primer. I'm gonna have you lean back. So when we get to the top, we're gonna be working here, and this is going to be our last little hoorah. So here is going to be where our guests, I can say that's like our little money piece for our styling. We're going to be working in, detangling, bringing it all the way back. I'm going to take a nice little chevron piece here. Let me see if I can bring you down just a little. There we go. Bringing a little chevron piece down. So I'm going to take it straight across here, adding in your product, and you can add enough product into your hand, really emulsify it in your hands like lotion. So that way, no matter what you're touching, it is actually going to allow the hair to go in. So we have went through a lot. I'm going to finish up this last panel. So we went through and talked a lot about, the curly guests. I didn't finish on our depth portion. So when we're talking about the porosity of the hair, when you're working with low porosity hair, a lot of times they have a little challenge with working with creams. So we have to be mindful of that. And the why behind that is because the cuticle is shut down a little bit more. So what you can do for a guest who you see that it takes a while for that water to penetrate on the hair to get into the hair, first go in with that gel, because it's going to be a little bit more receptive to the gel, or even working with first our Bosley Mendixtin leave-in treatment, because that really is penetrating in on a molecular level that allows it to penetrate into that hair strand. Then layer in with a gel to really seal everything in. And if, again, to create more of a softness for the guest, what you can do at that point is then layer in, if they are committed to that gel and they really want to ensure that they're getting that soft cast at the end, then we can go in at the end and you can work with the lavender mint cream for them to create a softness over top of that. I know we're like oftentimes when we're working with curly hair, it's been told like, cream like a cream then gel. But what the cream will do is work as a barrier to soften the hair strand, and it will also be a sealant too to the moisture that yields in the air, no matter where you are in the world. So I know Vegas has more of a dry heat, so that's going to be a little sealant for them. In Florida, we have more of a moisture yielding heat, so that's going to prevent the hair to want to go look for moisture in the air. So these are some pro tips that you can offer, but knowing that no matter what, you set the hair up for success. Working with from the bowl all the way over to the chair, giving your guest the curls and the support that it needs with the curly cut that you gave them, now styling them out. And this again can be a quick air dry technique, or you can go in and diffuse them right afterwards. Giving a little shimmy shake, taking it straight across, listening to your guest needs. And I'm telling you, the curly community will fall in love and you're going to fall in love with you every single time. So remembering those sections, understanding what's happening within, understanding what's happening within the texture. So that will go into when we're talking about porosity. The texture is going to be the actual diameter of that hair strand. And when you're working with a fine or more of a skinnier fabric, when we're working with fine hair, think about silk and how much moisture that can maintain within that hair strand. All of our kits create a beautiful balance when we're working with finer fabrics of hair. So whether you're working with Bosley Curl, it's still going to be a great support for them because we do need the support of that moisture still added in to that hair strand. And then when we get into our medium fabric, so again, the diameter, it's going to feel a little bit more, or the absorption rate is going to be a little bit more like cotton. So when we're working here, I'm going to pull you back. So when we have, look at our curls now. Lean back with it. Come on back for me. So when we're working here, we're then going to take, last but not least, and they could leave to go if they need to after this, or you can do a nice little 15 or 10-minute soft diffuse on them. I take a towel, wet it at the base, bring it in, give it a nice little scrunch to get any remaining product out of their hair, any remaining moisture out of their hair, letting that all go, having them come forward for me. Nice little flip forward. Let me level, there we go. And this is going to help the curl encouragement as well. When I'm working with, when you're working with, again, coarse hair, it's going back to the texture. They're going to have that feel or the diameter. The feel won't necessarily feel like this, but they're going to have the diameter of the absorption rate of like denim. So thinking about that texture and then the hair health, when you're putting all of those, that depth together, density, elasticity, porosity, texture, and hair health, flip back, then you create, and you're working with the proper products for them, you create this beautiful end result of giving them the support they need, the curl health they need. And if they walked away right now, allowing them to air dry, just like so, how would you feel about that in your curly? I like it. You like it? Did we know that? Got some. So this is what this could look like for your guests when they leave. If you were going to have the opportunity to go through a diffusing opportunity with them, you can go ahead and diffuse them. You would lean them back, hover all the way down on medium heat, low airflow, or even a high heat, low airflow, depending on the, again, the texture that you're working with. Hover down from base to ends. That can be about 15 minutes that you can do, or even 10 minutes that you can work with, and then do a quick little encouragement with your diffuser just to help get a little bit more spring back into those curls when you're working with loose to wavy or tight. When you're working with someone like Cameron after the haircut, again, this is going to be a full set. So you would do a nice little soft set on them. You can do an air dry to go, or again, don't allow them to lean back. Keep them nice and stood up, hovering down, going mid lanes to ends, getting some of that moisture off their scalp, and then they can have a beautiful wash and go. So we went over some beautiful techniques with you today, working in 5 standard segments with our Bosley MD partnership today. We started here in the nape area, then we went into going into the crown and of the occipital bone area, bringing in some balance into the haircut to start off our foundational cut. Did a soft over direction here in the temporal area, creating a nice soft shape from short to long going to the back, repeating that on the back side. And then we layered and merged in our top area here from the recession point to our low crown. Again, over directing very slightly, creating and supporting that round shape, cleaning up all of those ends, keeping a nice bend and keeping a nice bounce and movement into the curls. If we're looking for a little bit more expansion, again, over directing everything forward in that diagonal back will help create nice and visible layers, beautiful expansion, here, and then we walk through how you can complete this guest out seamlessly, effectively, and beautifully, as well as letting them know when they walk away with you, you gave them the tools they need and the why they need with Bosley Curl. So we're working with Bosley Curl. We did our shampoo and conditioner, started off with our Malibu C with our cleansing system. Then we went in with our ultra nourishing shampoo from our Bosley Curl with the Takuma seed inside. Allow the mask to sit on, working it through mid links to ends. First to finger detangling, and then you can go in with one of your favorite detangling brushes just to make sure that really gets on the scalp, as well as you're creating some stimulation on the scalp. After which, before they go, I would go in and add a little bit of our styling serum to the scalp in those challenge areas. Very lightweight serum, a little creamy, again, just to support in that area, massage that through, allow them to know when they go home with this kit, they can do this up to 2 times a day. And guess what? You made your girlfriend's day. It was been an honor to be with you on this a beautiful, beautiful morning. I thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through one of our curly techniques, working with particularly with our guest today, a loose wavy to spiral guest, giving you these 5 standard segments that are universal all the way around, as well as giving our curl friends all the love and support they need, working with Bosley Curl behind the chair, as well as how you can partner that with any styling aids that you need behind the chair. I thank you so much. My name again is Stephanie Hinkle, and it's been a pleasure being with you this morning.
All right, we are good. That was incredible, Stephanie. We are
Was that,
no
was that
longer
good?
live.